I've been working in the telecommunication industry for almost 14 years. I started in the mobile communication sector, where I worked for a telecom company and then started my own business, which basically did like the American Idols of the world in like several countries. Later on, also in America, in the US, so we also even did the US American Idol, and that came through an acquisition. Basically, our European company was bought by a US company. That was a reason for me to relocate also to the States, spend some time like in the Valley, but most of the time finally in New York. And in that period of time, basically that also was part of my holdback agreement with the purchaser. I also was wondering about like what I'm going to do now actually, and it was obviously also I got luckily some money out of the acquisition, so I was interested in smart investing, and therefore as a matter of like my ideas basically to start new companies, I started a business incubator, which is mainly focusing on business to consumer internet companies. Quite some focus on the local search too. And we do business angel financing. We help them very operational, so it's like much more than office space and some funding. It's like hands-on work on sales, biz dev, corp dev, a lot of HR, obviously, staffing teams. Also like bringing ideas and teams together, and basically being partner over the whole process of the maybe next funding rounds or exit. I think it was always part of my dream to be an entrepreneur and self-employed. So that like started in school and like kept on going over university times. Therefore, I was also all the time like censoring out where is a business need or a potential. And through my work at like actually was the mobile company I was working for, being in the space of mobile and the whole mobile data application market growing, I basically had my like little book and was working on all the brainstorm ideas. Where at a certain point then came, I thought, okay, that reached a critical mass. We actually started right in the moment when the first internet bubble burst. So I was hardly looking for an idea which has the potential to basically like fund itself or get break even quite fast. And then it was easy after that. Like obviously the decision was easy then. I even played around with the idea of moving to UK, but skipped that all. Like found some other team members, all complementary skills, and we started. Obviously it was a tough start, so no funding at all. Like we didn't know about like public grants or like alternative financing models, but it worked. It definitely worked out. I mean, that time, like the first company I was doing till the exit, it was like almost 8 years. So this went. It always was an entrepreneurial role, obviously, but it very much like moves into a management role over time, which is fun too. But I was also like eager to like do it again and again and again. And I'm also trying to, of course, also of selfish thoughts, trying to like bring in what we never had when we started our own company. So we didn't have a network or like a well-established network. We didn't have experience on like plenty of sites, and by helping companies basically to shorten those most risky time where you always lack of money and time, and supporting there as a startup help in some ways. We also, as being also in the role of being investors, increasing the probability that the company is going to be a success. Still on the same motivation level with like the founders, but obviously it's not all just about being a nice guy and helping others. It's obviously also like investment motivated. Basically, the experience comes out of the 8 years, but also of the experience of like being involved with like roughly 10 other companies over the time. Team is important, obviously, but that's nothing new. Also, a quite important role, I believe, especially in those times, is cash flow. Yeah? Putting more focus. Like I'm basically coming out of the engineering side, so the sales guy are typically the guys you are always in a fight with. But focusing on sales, and for all of the team members focusing on sales, is key. You always hear the story, product, I believe so, but nothing beats the argument you're break even if you're looking for funding, and if you're looking for most of the exits are basically also driven by the financials, and that is something important to learn. So it's not about like fancy and not anymore about the reach and other stuff. It's a lot of focus on revenue and EBITDA. That's another one, I believe. Keeping the cost structure low, very important as an instrument for that. Also, letting other people to participate, that people you otherwise would need to pay for. You can really strengthen the whole like cost structure and motivation level by doing that. So better having like a small piece of a story that comes through and gets a like medium-sized to big like size story than being majority shareholder of something that like didn't work out. So that's also important, I guess. Some industry expertise is obviously a good thing to do. Teaming up, part of I'd say the European culture is always like more competition than cooperation. So I believe cooperation, if you have the chance to find like proper ones, also helps. Yeah, plenty of things to say at the end of the day. And picking the team members wisely, and obviously based on personal like reason and emotional aspects, but also on the fact like does that like person has got the potential also to take care of some revenue pieces. I'd say in the first one, obviously like we started right in the bubble burst. So the years before, when you told somebody you're a startup entrepreneur and you are active in the mobile, internet, whatever, like everybody was excited. By the time we started, the excitement level was comparable low. So you don't get a lot of emotional support from your surroundings. So I'd say in this particular first company, one of the most important aspects was that we didn't give up. We didn't give up. We also were thinking about like this company was like always like doing fine and growing. We had a very strict and low cost structure. That also was key, obviously, to have some buffer in some ways. And we had once the discussion with a VC who wanted to invest into the company, and we didn't do it because we didn't like think that we can actually make use out of the money, which is a luxury situation. And again, it's possible because you're cash flow positive. That was a smart decision because we like went through a merger afterwards. We always have been private. We never have had like this distraction by like different investor interests. So that was key, and it was a pretty good and smooth like cooperation with all the team members. That it was kind of a family experience. So the best advice, if you don't need the money, yeah, I wouldn't raise it, and I'd rather would like bootstrap as long as possible, and then use money for expansion, but not for cost covering. Basically, I mean, we started pretty early. Like I was roughly 20 or so. Yeah. So the personal cost structure is low too, so you can bootstrap yourself, and you're not used to a high life level. We didn't pay. We basically paid out our employees, and we did pay obviously our interns and so on, but we didn't pay out us unless it was really necessary. And there are plenty of ups and downs. This was purely in the business-to-business segment, so you're mostly relying obviously on your customers. And one year the budget gets like increased, and another year the budget gets cut. And you're always wondering about like geographic expansion, and do you dare to do it, or do you know the right sales guys to do it? And therefore there are plenty of moments when the budgets gets cut. Yeah? And when you're also asking yourself like, is it most fun sitting in a small apartment somewhere and working 24/7, and basically a lot of other aspects suffer. Yeah? I mean, family suffers, relationships suffer, sport suffers. Yeah? So there are a lot of like drawbacks and trade-offs, and that's I guess that's the moment when it's not exciting and not new anymore, and when it gets like day-to-day business and still not like exploding in a good way. That's the moments when you struggle and when you like think about is it worth to do it. So what actually like prevented us from not giving up? It's I'd say an attitude thing on the one hand, and it's also like having team members and other like employees where you know that they are working together with you like through hard times. And obviously, as founder and CEO, everybody feels responsible for motivating the employees and the interns, but at a certain like nobody is motivating yourself. So basically, you have different sources of energy, and one of course is the mood and like the way the guys are like working together, and if they have fun, and if they are saying, okay, if it doesn't work out this month, we're trying it next month again, and keep on running, and if there's no depression, then like things are moving fine.